For more, let's go to San Francisco. Ava Homa is a journalist, the author of the critically acclaimed novel, Daughters of Smoke and Fire. Thank you for speaking with us here on France 24.
Thanks for having me.
First off, there was this moment last week where it seemed as though the demonstrations were, if not lessening, getting smaller in scale, and there was questions, is it petering out? It seems as though that is not the case.
That's very true. Iran is finally united on every levels in terms of all genders, all ethnic groups, all social classes in one demand, and that's that they really do not want to tolerate any more oppression and suppression that that have been dealing with in the past 44 years. So that sense of unity, that strength, that resistance is remarkable given that how the government has been answering these people has been through bullets, through corporal punishments, through arrests, detains, and intimidation. And that is what people are doing right now is huge. They are dealing with a government whose very foundation has been intimidations and threats. And that seems to be not working anymore. So that is speaking volume in terms of sending a very clear message to the government.
And we saw that weekend booing outside a campus hall where Iran's president was speaking. But at the same time, we've heard a lot of Iran watchers warn the Revolutionary Guards have not been sent in yet. The crackdown could get a lot more violent. Does it always end the same way?
So that's a very good question in terms of what we can see as immediate results and what we should look at as the long-lasting effect of these uprisings that have started for a very long time. In Kurdistan, that has started the spark of this protest, the saying no to the Islamic Republic, started from the very beginning. Your reporter just showed that in the Kurdish city of Sanandaj, people have been resisting for 24 days and nights, and that's a very good reminder of 1979. When Kurds were resisting also for exactly 24 days before the Revolutionary Guards came in and started bombing people and bombing hospitals and quashing the uprising. So now the question is, what is it going to happen? Is it going to be the same story and the same quashing? And what I would like to bring your attention to is how much things have changed in the past 43 years. But even if you go back as far as 2009, when the first major uprising happened in Iran, when millions took to the streets in Tehran, and compare it to now, you would see that despite the price that individuals and families are paying for this, what is happening is the awareness and the unity that is expanding. And that's something that crackdowns cannot take away. That's something that's highly valuable. The fact that so many groups are chanting in support of each other, be it men in support of women, ethnic groups in support of each other, that level of awareness and that unity is not going to go away. So what is the government going to do? Take in the IRGC and again crack it down for another year, for another 10 years? They're not going to be able to survive the way they're going because their strategies of division, deception and intimidation is not working any longer. So let's see what else they have to offer.
These social media images of tanks headed towards Kurdistan, have you seen them? What do you make of them?
Well, I'm not surprised. I grew up in the Kurdish region, so I know it's been militarized for a very long time. I also know how the suppression is a lot stronger in ethnic group areas. So this is nothing really new for us. Like I said, we've seen it 44 years ago. We've seen it now. We've probably seen it in future. Still, we'll see it. And it's going to go on because what happened was back in 1979, when Iran attacked the Kurds were alone. They were the only group that were saying no to the government at the time, but now they're no longer alone. So there have been reports of tanks, there have been reports of fighter jets landing in the civilian airport in Sanandaj. All of this are there. What is the government going to do with it? It's not very clear yet. It is clearly a tactic of intimidation. What is it going to go from here is not obvious yet. But what I want to point out is that Kurds used to be alone. They're not alone anymore. The very chant of women, life, liberty that is spread across Iran has deep roots in the Kurdish movement, in the insight that Kurdistan won't be free until women are. So Kurds have been at the forefront, at the center, at the heart of the resistance. Therefore, the crackdown is heavier on them, but it also has historical root. But clearly, people haven't given up yet, which is extremely remarkable.
And on a daily basis, there have been cross-border attacks on militant Kurdish sites in Erbil province in Iraq. Baghdad's reaction, well, they've called in the Iranian ambassador. It's been very muted.
Yes, because Iraq has been under the influence of, especially the Shia Iraqis have been under the influence of Iranian government for a very long time, since the Iraq war started. So what Iran did by attacking those groups was by pointing accusation again and saying that it is the fault of the Kurds that have started this. And yes, we did start this, but when they're starting bombing the Kurds, they were trying to build on a gap that has existed in the Iranian society between the ethnic minority groups and the dominant Persian groups. And so this attack was distracting from the main topic, from the main attention of people. But clearly it hasn't worked. Kurdish groups haven't responded with counterattacks, and Iranian people haven't stopped their protests by falling into the same threat of territorial integrity, which is a rhetoric that the Iranian government has been using for decades to create division between the Kurds and other ethnic groups in the country.
Again, there's an apparatus in Iran which is very strong when it comes to crackdowns. The current president himself was a former jailer, and you have. For instance, this Iranian journalist, Niloufar Hamedi is her name, who took that poignant picture of the parents of Mahsa Amini hugging as they waited on news of their daughter, bereaved when she was in a coma. She's been in custody since September 22nd, hasn't been seen since. And is there the feeling that one by one, the regime can haul in anybody who's dissenting?
So they have hauled in. In fact, the crackdown on teenagers and children have been so worrisome that yesterday, UNICEF released a statement that's saying that stop cracking down on children and stop being so violent to our children and adolescents. So I agree with your point that they have been arresting and even shooting. I mean, my own family have been shot. My own friends have been in jail since the beginning of this protest. So I completely agree with you with Iranian government's lack of hesitation to use any sort of brutality to try and squash the protest. But then the question is, what are they going to, will they be able to take away the unity and awareness that Iranian people are showing for the first time? So there are two scenarios here. Either the Iranian government continues crackdown to the point that people will stop going onto the street, which might put a temporary pause to the protests. But protests are not just going to the streets. Protests are also creating artwork, writing, creating literary work, doing grassroots activism, doing all sorts of other movements. So that is not going to stop no matter what happens. And that's what I want to bring the world's attention to, that the evolution, the awareness, the unity, the grassroots activism, the art creation, the different form of resistance that people are showing is not going to go away at all.
Ava Homa, the author of Daughters of Smoke and Fire, journalist, thank you for speaking with us from San Francisco.
Thank you.